I'm John Jewett. Today we're in Trenton, New Jersey at Marazzo's Marketplace, and we're doing no limits. So I have no limits on what I'm going to be purchasing, but I'm going to be mindful, still within how I normally shop and do my budget. But we're going to purchase food for the week, and I usually always buy food for the whole 7 days. So I'm going to take y'all through and do it just that way. Let's go. So my plan of attack, usually when I'm coming to the grocery store, is just starting in the produce area. Just for convenience wise, some of the HEBs that I go to in Texas are really, really big. So to start randomly going through different sections, it can take you forever to get through. So I usually always come in produce aisle and grab what I need from there and then move on to the meats. So let's start here. So I really like stuff like this. It's fresh, but it's also been all pre-cut, so it makes my prep just really, really easy. So it's something I'll do have like 2 beef meals, so it's something I can mix in with my beef. I get a variety of color in my vegetables, but also it's not gonna take me a long time to prep. So this is good stuff that I like to find. So one of my meals, we're gonna get into the meat section. One of my meals is fish that I do. I try to do like a fattier fish, so like salmon. I like tuna also. They don't have a lot of fish selection day. Usually I would buy for the entirety of the whole week, but so I'm just gonna buy for a few days, and it means I might have to stop back in and get some more, but I'm doing a mix. So I'm gonna get a couple salmons and then also some tuna. The salmons are farm raised. Ideally, if the wild cut's available, that's what I would like to pick. The tuna is wild cut, so that just kind of caught my eye and what I would like to do anyway. So just grabbed for 3 days worth. So I usually do have a shopping list on my phone. So I try to map out my areas and the amounts that I need to. So I know I need to do 2 7-ounce beef meals a week, 65 ounces of cooked beef. So about 4 pounds, which I like doing top round, your round cuts, your loin cuts. Those are always your leanest cuts of meat. Grass-fed would be ideal. I look through here and sometimes you'll just find like the ground grass-fed beef, and typically it can be 90-10 or even less and higher in fat. So even though it is grass-fed, I don't want to do like such a high fatty cut of meat, so it still will have a lot of saturated fats in it. But they do have a really good deal on top round London broil. It's $2.99 a pound, which kind of catches my eye just because I am budget mindful regardless of when I shop. I'm not frivolous by any means, but they're really thick, and I think they would be harder to cook. So I'm gonna go with their sirloins, and that'll get me right at 4 pounds. So 3 of my meals are 7 ounces of chicken, and that's 7-ounce cooked weight, so I need 160 ounces of raw. So I've talked about this in past videos, but if you're measuring in cooked weight, you can take your total cooked weight, divide it by 75, and that'll give you an estimate of what you need in raw weight. So you usually have about a 25% weight loss just from water. So I know I need about 10 pounds of chicken for the week, so that's what I'm gonna grab. These kind of range from like a pound to 1.5 pounds a piece. They are nice because they're thin sliced, so it makes it really convenient to cook pretty quickly. And actually, best practice is probably put your meats like in one side of the cart so you're not dripping all over like your produce or your fresh stuff. So I'll put mine like towards the back of the cart. It's the lowest part of the cart, and put all my other stuff separate away from it. Okay. Let's go get some eggs. So I don't do a lot of milk in general. I will, since I'm in the off season right now and trying to get a lot of calories in, I've started using some cereal, and we're gonna go grab it here in a minute, just out of just ease of eating and trying to get food volume in. But I'm not gonna eat my cereal with water. I've done that in the past to be so strict, and I realize you don't need to be that strict anymore. So I'll do just like the almond breeze, almond milk, the unsweetened. It's another 40 calories. Then you're also getting some calcium, vitamin D as well. But it's what I'll use for my cereal. So for my eggs, I typically have been doing 3 whole eggs a day. Out of the selection here, the only ones that I would usually choose would be the pasture-raised eggs. So those are actually, you know, have to have chickens that can roam naturally and eat more of their natural diet, so it does change the fatty acid content in it. Any type of cage-free, you know, you see like the brown eggs or just your normal white eggs. For being cage-free, you don't really know what that really means. So, you know, the differences between those eggs, it's not drastic. And the brown eggs, it really just depends on the breed of chicken that it was laid in, so it doesn't really change the nutritional content. So for that, I just go with, you know, usually the cheapest ones if that's the case. But like I said, if there was pasture-raised, I would choose those. So I need 24 eggs for the week. Well, actually 21, but we're gonna buy 24. So we'll go with the extra large eggs, just because they're higher in protein, 7 grams of protein per egg. One thing I do need is peanut butter, and I usually do cream of rice for one meal. I'll mix the peanut butter in with it. I'll also use it if I'm ever in a bind and I don't have my like beef with me, like the fats are in the beef, or if I have any type of almonds or anything in my diet and I don't have those with me, I can always make something quick like a shake with some oatmeal and then just throw in peanut butter in. So, but every day normally it's the cream of rice and peanut butter. So I'm gonna grab some, and Skippy Natural is my stuff to go with, just because it tastes really good and they don't add a lot of other junk into it either. So picking up some of my grains that I do. So one is gonna be cream of rice. And with cream of rice, I like it because the volume that it can make can really vary. So I can put a lot of water in if I really want to get filled up, or a little and make it more concentrated. But the amount of cream of rice you can eat is a lot more than oatmeal, especially when I'm in the off season. So I'll use this, but I'm also going to grab some oatmeal as well, because I'll use it for shakes if I'm running low on time and I can't eat a whole solid meal. And sometimes I'll actually sit and make the oatmeal too if I want some variety. So, and I'll just do quick oats because they mix a lot easier in my shakes. And the old-fashioned oats, I end up having to chew them and they stick to my shaker bottle, so I'll go with the quick oats in that case. So I grabbed my almond milk earlier, so I need to get my cereal to put in it. I go with rice Chex. For one, rice just always digests really well with me. And then for 100 grams of this, it's about 85 grams of carbohydrates, which 100 grams of Chex cereal, I can eat it so fast, and so it makes it really convenient, but also it's just rice. So it's, you know, I'm not having a bunch of added sugars, or I'm not getting Cocoa Puffs or something that has a bunch of chocolate and other stuff in it too. So it's still a, you know, relatively healthy choice. And for 23 grams of carbs, it has 2 grams of sugar, so it's not a significant amount to really worry about. I can do this for breakfast sometimes, or I'll even make it post-workout and do it with that meal. A lot of it depends on time too. Sometimes if my meals are starting to get close together, I'll do this just to get something quick in. Okay, so one thing that I will grab since I'm in this aisle is I do sauerkraut, and I will put it on my beef meals. For one, it tastes really good and it gives a good flavor to it. Normally I would try to get sauerkraut from a refrigerated area that hasn't been canned or using any type of heat to seal it, because sauerkraut's a fermented food, so it does have some natural probiotic in it, good bacteria, and if you're in the canning process, it kills a lot of that off. So if you can find one that's been you know, cold and not use the same type of heating process, that would be the best choice to go with. But for now, since this is what we have, we'll go with it. So I'm going to pick up some fruit. A lot of the fruit that I do pick is all frozen. A lot of the fresh, since I usually try to go to the store once a week, if I get that much fruit for the whole week, a lot of it might go bad on me. So frozen makes it really convenient, but you know, there's not an issue as far as nutrient value to your frozen foods. A lot of them are getting shipped in anyway, so they're picking them early. If there is like if you've grown locally or something, that's a little bit different, if you could get something that fresh. But frozen fruit, still, there's no issue with going nutrition-wise. So the ones that I usually pick, I'll try to go with fruit mixes so I get a variety. So I like the berry blend that I found here. So we get strawberries, blueberries, dark cherries, and blackberries. So there's some good variety. And then I'll also get some pineapple chunks. So post-workout, I like doing pineapple. It has some enzymes in it that kind of help with digestion. Just sits really well post-workout, and also just tastes really good, and it's pretty refreshing. So another one I'll pick up is just Asparagus Spears. And this is like my primary vegetable that I eat. It's digests really well, and it's also high in some sulforaphane, which is really good for liver health as well. I primarily do drink water throughout the day, but one thing I do like is having Diet Cherry 7-Up. It's really refreshing. It's okay to have a little bit of diet soda. I think everything in moderation is fine. If this was like contest prep, I will cut it out the last few weeks, but primarily throughout the whole prep, I'll leave it in. And I usually just do maybe one or two a day and limit at that. They just have liters here, so I'll grab a liter. But I want to show you all that you don't just have to eat chicken and rice all day. You can have some things that you like in your diet, and it's going to be okay in moderation. So for condiments, I mainly stick to mustard and ketchup. I'm pretty basic as far as that goes. Mustard, has no calories in it, and you're very minimal in sodium. So I'll grab just a classic yellow mustard, and usually if I get bored with this one, I might change it up and grab like the horseradish mustard or something else for variety. Then I also like the Heinz reduced sugar ketchup. It's pretty minimal in calories, and it's really nice to have ketchup in your diet. It's something that I really enjoy. So I'll put these on my rice. It's really weird, but that's what I like. So cold pressed coconut oil. And another fat that I do like to have in, and it's hard to find sometimes, is macadamia nut oil. It's really high in monounsaturated fat, which is one of the main fats that you want to be consuming high in your diet. It's good for heart health. It also has a really good nutty taste, and it's great as a topping on food, or even putting in your shakes is really good too. So I'm gonna grab some seasonings while I'm here. So I need something for my chicken, my salmon, and then also my beef. For the fish, I just got a fish rub, so it has some lemon, paprika in it, some orange juice powder, just something that'll be kind of citrusy and has a little bit of sweetness, so that'll be good. On the salmon, the one I always go with for my chicken is the Grill Mates, the roasted garlic Montreal chicken. Has a good flavor. I guess I should probably address sodium, since people are kind of wondering, and I will have some sodium in my diet, and I think it is the balance between how much sodium you're consuming, but also your potassium, magnesium. And so it's not just the focus on sodium. So if you're eating more potassium, magnesium, it kind of offsets it too. So, but this is mainly the only direct sodium source I'm gonna have. I don't salt my foods or anything like that. And then I need my hamburger seasoning, which will go with the Steakhouse onion burger. So that one should be pretty tasty. So my primary carbohydrate source is jasmine rice. It just digests well. I can eat a lot of it. So grab some to add in with a few of my meals. So finished shopping, our total was $180.41. So that is about a week's worth of food for me. Some of the stuff that I had to buy today, it's stuff that's gonna last me longer than a week, so I normally wouldn't spend that every time on my shopping trip. Typically for a normal week, I spend about $125 to $150. And that's about normal. If I do have to pick up some other items, then it could get a little higher, but this was a little higher than what I normally would spend. We are in the kitchen. Did my no limit shopping. We have all the food laid out here for us. My veggies, my grains, condiments, and all my meat. So now we can get to cooking and lay out some meals for y'all. So for the meat choices, we're gonna have 3 chicken meals, 1 fish meal, and 2 beef meals. So for starting out, since it'll cook pretty quick, I'm gonna start with the fish. So we'll do tuna. I'm gonna save my salmon for my other days. We're just gonna pan sear it, flip it on both sides. And this is one you could still leave. You can leave medium rare. You wanna cook it till it's a little flaky, but you don't want it to get too dry, so you can leave it a little pink in the middle. For seasoning, we can use our fish rub. And that's all I'm gonna use on it, and just use some cooking spray in the pan. So for the sirloin steak that I got, it's pretty thick, and I wanna cook in the pan, and I'm gonna be using my bell peppers and onions that I got, so I'm gonna slice it up thin and chop it up. It'll cook pretty quick that way, but also it'll just be a better mix of cooking with the vegetables that I got. So I'll slice it up and then we can season after that. And just a tip, if you have scissors, that'll work a lot better than you're using a knife. And on a plate, if you have a cutting board, it'd be great. So the salmon's done. Next, we're gonna throw the steak on. But before I add the steak in, I'll start with the peppers cooking and the onions to get them a little soft. Then once they are, I'll add the steak in with them. So my beef done, it's plated up, 7 ounces of beef. Now I can start putting my chicken on and cooking that. So while my chicken's cooking, I went ahead and covered it so it'll cook a little quicker. I do have my food thermometer, so I'll keep checking it throughout and make sure that we get up to 165 degrees so it's cooked adequately. While that's cooking, I'm gonna go ahead and start on my cream of rice. I've been eating this every day for one meal. I do 100 grams of carbohydrates from it, which if you weight it out, it's 120 grams of cream of rice. We can just measure it too. It's about 3/4 cup of cream of rice. And the water can be tricky on this one because once you cook it, it keeps cooking. Once you bring it out of the microwave, if you stir it, it'll keep getting thicker. So right when you pull it out, it could still look a little watery, but just stir it and it'll thicken up. And if you are gonna be adding in extra stuff like protein powder or peanut butter, that's gonna change the consistency too. So usually your protein powder is gonna thicken up your cream of rice. So I try to make mine a little bit thinner to begin with. Let's cook some eggs. So I'll do 3 eggs with my last meal for the day. I'm gonna crack them in the pan and just scramble them up and cook them that way. So I have most of my meals laid out here. I'm gonna go ahead and put on some of the finishing touches for some of the dry ingredients and frozen products that I'm adding to my foods. So one thing that I'm gonna add is my rice Chex cereal, and this is a food that I eat sometimes I don't. It depends on time, like I mentioned in the store, but my post-workout meal right now is beef and rice. But if I don't have time to eat that much rice, I will just use the rice Chex because I eat it a lot faster. Sometimes I get really full during the days in off season, and so this also makes it a really quick food to do. And food volume wise, I can move along quickly. If I have like a late night workout, I can eat this and move on to my last meal. It will keep me so full for eating late at night. And I'll do a cup of cereal. I'll just use some of my almond milk for my cereal. And just so you know, the coconut almond, the mix, is the best tasting one that I've had if you haven't tried it. So all the cooking's done. I have my 6 meals for the day laid out here. Starting with meal 1, my breakfast of the day. Do 3 whole eggs scrambled, 5 ounces of chicken, and 2 English muffins. And usually I make little breakfast sandwiches out of all of them, and sometimes I'll put salsa on them. Actually, sometimes I'll use sugar-free jelly too, which is a weird combo, but it tastes good. For meal 2, 7 ounces of fish, have 75 grams of asparagus, or it's about 8 spears. I have my 120 grams of cream of rice with 75 grams of berries, and then I also added 2 teaspoons of coconut oil for some fats to that meal. For my 3rd meal, 7 ounces of chicken, 320 grams of white jasmine rice, 75 grams of asparagus, and I also topped the rice with 2 teaspoons of macadamia nut oil. My post-workout meal, I have my 7 ounces of beef, I have okra and sauerkraut, 100 grams of pineapple, and then 100 grams of rice Chex cereal with just an eyeball amount of unsweetened almond coconut milk. Meal 5 is 7 ounces of chicken, 320 grams of rice, and 75 grams of okra with 2 teaspoons again of my macadamia nut oil. That's a repeat of my meal 3. And then for my last meal, 7 ounces of chicken, sauerkraut, and again 320 grams of rice. So this is typically what I eat every day. I try to have a good variety in my protein sources. Like here we have 4 different sources of protein. I have a good variety, and also carbohydrate sources, having 4 different sources. So we have muffins, cream of rice, rice Chex. They're all rice-based, but in different forms. I will on occasion have potato. It just doesn't digest well for me, especially in the off season, eating a higher food volume. Typically what I notice, if I get over like 200 grams of potato itself, I'll start getting pretty bloated. So what I do sometimes is do 200 grams of potato, then 100 grams of rice, and mix those together. And then also for veggies, with our beef meal, we had a mix of green bell pepper, red bell pepper, onions. We have okra, asparagus, good variety. And I think that's what makes a really good diet when you're trying to put one together, is have food variety to where you're able to get nutrients from a variety of food sources, have different colors of veggies, different sources of protein, and that makes the best nutrient profile. So this concludes my no limit shopping. This from morning to night shows my normal meal plan just in the off season. So in contest prep, this does usually change. But if you're looking for something for budgeting, you can always see my big on the budget that I did, shopping for less than $50 to try to have a beginner entry-level bodybuilding budget. If you have any questions on what we saw today, shopping, how I cooked my meals, how I normally tailor my meals as I progress through off season, you can also leave all your comments below. Thanks for watching the video. We'll bring y'all more content soon.